I'm feeling very, very, very good. How are you both and everyone in the chat?
Yes, loving it. Yeah, to say that at halftime I felt like this was a big moment for our season would be an understatement. I said we needed to show, like all the players came out, didn't they, Brian, after the Palace game and said, we're going to basically learn from this, make sure it doesn't happen again. And I think they did.
Mate, you know what? Not only have they done that, let's just, before we get into the game itself, let's just say, do you know what? Obviously, after the Palace game and the whole week build up, we've had a whole thing with players being called out, managers being called out. Don't get me wrong, I called the players out heavily last week against
Yeah.
Palace. Today, that was a statement performance because people have been saying, and they have their right, and the stats show it, we can't do it against a big team. We can't do it. We foul. These players don't turn up. They don't score or perform in the big teams or in the big games. Well, guess what? Today, they most bloody well certainly did. Today is a day. I think the only negative thing to say, really, is the injuries that seem to be picking up again, which is a real concern. But the actual performance and those players, they did exactly what we wanted to see Sunday, but they saved it for this Aston Villa performance. I think it's quite clear at home we are a completely different animal to away, aren't we? We really are. I think we should be able to play all our 38 Premier League games at home. Then we're winning
That's
the
what I was
league.
going to say.
But yeah, listen. Today is a day to sit back and praise a job very well done by Tottenham Hotspur and Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah, completely agree. And I want to start, even though Dom Solanke got man of the match, and we will talk about him, I want to start by asking you how important you felt Pape Matar's performance was, not just in terms of winning that game, but also in kind of showing that he's back up to his top form and could potentially be picked for, certainly in the away games going forward where we need a bit more steel in midfield.
Yeah, so I was a huge fan of Sarr last season. Obviously, after he came back from the AFCONs and later on in the season, it looked like he was tiring. That's understandable. His first full season of proper being in the team and playing regular. I think he had a niggling back injury or something towards the end of the season, if my memory serves me correctly. I thought he started this season when he started in the Premier League a little bit sluggish, but those Europa League performances, he was putting them in. And then obviously we saw it against West Ham and he done it against one of my friends from a guy on our channel called Lee Harvey calls him the lawnmower because he covers every blade of grass. And mate, he was great today. But you know another one, Barnaby, I'm going to talk about someone very quickly. Obviously, we can talk to Nike after, but obviously you and I have spoken on many a time and were overjoyed with the Brennan Johnson 6 in 6. Not just the goal today, his second half performance, his non-stop running, even when he looked like he was exhausted. He deserves, for all the criticism this man gets, today's performance, whether you love him or hate him, if you can't recognise that was a great performance today from Brennan, then I don't know what to say because he was everywhere today and gave everything, even when he was exhausted, still running, still trying, still doing what he had to do. So an incredible performance by him, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I just want to say, you said all about all his work, not including the goal, but for the goal, he's actually also one of the very few players who is good at that out to in run at the back post. It's an incredibly difficult skill to time it and get it onside, and he does it so well. And Ange, that's the reason Ange loves him, because they are the goals that Ange loves this team to score, and he's the best at it. Werner can't do that, and Sonny isn't good at that either.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sonny put that cross in, and what
Amazing.
an incredible cross that was.
Yeah.
That cross was magnificent. Obviously, Johnson had to get there, but when you've got someone like Son, who's about to deliver a ball in, like they used to say with Beckham, I'm not comparing Sonny to Beckham, but they used to say if Beckham was about to put the ball forward, people would scream and run forward because they knew there's a very, very good chance the ball was going to fall to them or in a position they were in.
Yeah.
That ball was absolutely spot on, and Solanke almost got there, but thankfully Brennan was following in between. And it wasn't the easiest to finish. It was on the bounce, a pivotal moment when we were starting to get a foothold in the game. Very well taken goal. And like I said, I'm really enjoying from him is his work off the ball. And we were all, even myself last season was thinking he's got a bit of fitness issues. After about 60 minutes, he looks exhausted when he hadn't really done what he did today. And you can see why he's exhausted today. He worked his goddamn socks off.
He did.
Brian, Moving forward, what would you say like our starting midfield should be against like an Ipswich at home? I know we spoke about, can we take this home form into our away performances, but what would you have as a midfield three? You spoke about Sarr already having such a crucial role in this game, and Bentancur obviously started ahead of Basuma. Can I get your thoughts on what you think the right balance is? Should Maddison be left out again? Like, what do we do?
So where I'm looking at fair play, as we got the free kick, I was like, come on, Mads, now's your time to get that free kick. Delighted he's finally done that, and he took the free kick. But do you know what it is, Ash? And I was speaking about this on a few shows before this game, like late Friday and Saturday, just gone. I was like, you know what? I think what you've got to look at this is what he does for Galatasaray. Because for me, going to Galatasaray, yes, the result isn't really that important because obviously the great start we've had in the Europa League. But we are going to one of the most hostile and inferno kind of atmospheres ever. And I think you need to do it where you have your strongest mental. It's not about just having the best players on the pitch. It's having the mentality, because I think if we can get a good result there, the confidence it will do for our away form to say, right, we can go to the toughest of the toughest and get a result. So I don't know how he looks at this. Does he go to Galatasaray, Ash, and think, right, do you know what, we've had 3 wins, I could experiment a bit, put a few youngsters? Or does he think, I'm going there, this isn't a game to just bleed youngsters because of what they're going to go through? So I don't know. I mean, with the Filth losing last week and others, and obviously us picking up these points, this Ipswich game now becomes huge. Arsenal have got Chelsea next. This is a huge pivotal moment. Then we're going into an international break. So I think Sarr has to start in the Premier League. I think so. You say that as well with Ipswich.
Mm-hmm.
Does I think this is the one where their style of play, I go with the 2 creative rather than the 2 holding.
But Ipswich will open up. I don't think Ipswich will play like low block at all. I think they'll open up, and therefore I think you can probably go either way. But the way Sarr's playing, I think there'll be times where we do need to break up the play in central midfield, and maybe he should start again.
So I'm asking that question because I'm saying, do you drop Maddison again for Ipswich? Do you play him at Galatasaray and then drop him for Ipswich?
He'll definitely play in Galatasaray, I think.
I think
will get a rest.
So we're essentially saying our best midfield is without Maddison. Is that what we're saying now?
Ash, it's a great.
It's a squad game, Ash. It's a squad game.
The good thing is the way the midfield is playing right now, like Sarr coming in. What a wonderful thing for us to be discussing right now.
Yeah.
Does
Correct.
James Maddison fit into the first team? And if he doesn't, what a weapon to bring off the bench. Whether James Maddison stays happy being on the bench and doing a bit part, that's another question. But right now, the midfield, like I said, I mean, Kulusevski was good again today, very good. But this midfield, what a wonderful dilemma to have. What a wonderful dilemma to have.
I would love this dilemma. And moving on to our next question, with our front three.
Oh.
What do you make of Richarlison? And obviously he came off injured. But yeah, what's your thoughts of him on the left? Should he stay there?
This guy's injury. So what, Ash, when I did the Man City pre-match thing with Ben and Sim, and they gave their predicted lineup, I said I would actually rather see Richarlison on the left over Werner. Before the game, obviously Werner went on and scored the goal. But I think Richarlison was great when he came on. All right, he should have scored that goal. And he does look like he can do bits on the left. But again, Sonny went off. We don't know if that's a precaution. I mean, Son looked furious, or not furious, that's the wrong word, looked annoyed.
Yeah.
So hopefully that is precaution. I want you wrapped up in cotton wool. But Richarlison did come on and do a job. It's just what is going on with our left wingers and injury. Odegaard's still out. Richarlison going off. Sonny, we're having to obviously be careful with him and wrap him up in cotton wool. But you mentioned the front line. Listen, I'm a big Brennan Johnson fan. Performances like that show what he can do. Does he need to do it more regularly? Well, he scored 6 in 6. But then the games he hasn't scored, he has been quite quiet recently. Apart from that flick that he did for the Man City opener.
Yeah.
But today was a very combative, very efficient, and great display from Brennan. So I think his place is solidified. Dominic Solanke, do you know what? I am so happy for that guy. I'm a huge fan of his, a huge fan of his. But when he, after the Palace game, obviously it was something like 5 games without a shot. We brought this big guy up top to get the goals, and then we've got him drifting out wide or further deeper to try and, because of his work rate. Both his goals. I mean, the finish for the first one, and it was a great move, was just so good. And then the positioning to be there for the second one after a great vision from Richarlison. In all honesty, I thought Richarlison was going to pull the trigger, but he saw Solanke, and hopefully this will do Solanke the world of good. Now, these weren't just the tapping kind of things, were they? They were being at the right place at the right time, not just trying to get some scraps off the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
But yeah, the front line, Ashmatic, the left wing is up for question, but I think the right and the centre are done with. Pardon me.
I was going to say Mikey Moore will start at Galatasaray though, surely.
Yeah, see, do you know what I wanted? I think he may, but like we were saying, obviously we chucked him on against Crystal Palace, and we all know the performance was terrible.
Yeah.
As good as he is, and I'm a big fan of his. I don't know if I want to chuck Mikey Moore into an environment like that. Because God, and like I said, that's not.
I guess maybe it'll be Werner then, because Werner was on the bench today.
It could be. I mean, Mikey Moore coming on will be a good. Listen, if he starts it, we don't know enough about Mikey Moore. We know he's got the ability. It's his temperament, his composure, and like we said, when we talk about going to Galatasaray, or any people talk about going to Galatasaray, you know, Galatasaray or the Turkish fans, I'll say the Brazilian and Argentinians, when you go there, we've all seen the footage of what kind of hostility they bring to the away team, and it's not going to. This is going to be intense, electrifying. And doesn't Mikey Moore start in that game? Could it have an impact on him? That we don't know. I would bench Mikey Moore for this one. I think Rangers, which will be another hostile one.
Yeah.
You may, but I think Galatasaray. I think we're walking into a dungeon and an absolute crescendo of noise and hostilities that.
Yeah, it will be that.
Play with a big temperament.
It will be that. I just wonder whether. I agree with all that. I just wonder whether it's pretty obvious to me right now that Brennan Johnson and Decky Kulusevski both need a rest, and I think Thursday night, because we've won the first 3 games in the group, I think Thursday night is that chance. So he might even play Werner left and Moore on the right potentially, unless you can think who else could potentially play right.
Like I said, he could have possibly on the right. Mikey Moore can actually play on the right as well.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. But anyway, I mean, look, that's the thing. I think what will be fun about Thursday night is that I actually kind of, even if we get, I don't want us to get pumped, of course not, but I think it'll be fun to see some of these young players like Bergvall in that atmosphere. I like Bergvall. He did better in his last game than he did in the ones before. And I want to see whether they kind of sink or swim. Do you know what I mean? And like you said, Brian, it will be tough, but it's a free hit. It feels like a free hit to me.
The result-wise, it is, but I just think getting the right result there for our away form could be massive. If you look at it, we don't know. I mean, can you imagine what those players will think when we say, like, we all know how poor our away form has been over this calendar year, and it's the stat that people like to use. This calendar year we've done this calendar year we've done that. I get where it comes from, but in all honesty, this calendar year nonsense and the stats mean absolutely nothing in the real scheme of things. It's just, let's put it in a calendar year. It doesn't affect. But I do understand why they do it. Let's have a look at what you've done in 2024. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't see how this matters much. But if you can go and get a good win, or even a win, just a win, even if it's a 1-0 scrappy performance or whatever, those players will be like, do you know what? We're going to be in one of the most hostile places we would ever have played in.
Yeah.
And we've managed to get an away performance or an away result. The other thing we just got to quickly talk about is I don't know. Do you reckon Romero was precaution again? Because during the week it was fatigue. Now it looked like it was his foot. I just hope that isn't an extended time off. But I will say, and you're going to bring him on, someone who will speak about Ben Davies a lot more than me. When he's come on, mate, When he's come on, fair play to him. Fair play to him. Obviously, we know he probably can't do this week in, week out, week in for a prolonged amount of time, but he's come in, stepped up and done the job.
Yeah, I thought both him and Dragoshin did really well. Yeah, Brian, mate, honestly, thanks for giving us a shout. We've got a few more callers to get through, so better let you go. But enjoy your Sunday night. It feels like it's rare for us to be able to enjoy our Sunday nights.
Just in case people haven't realised, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. I thought someone might have mentioned it in the chat or anything. I'm in London.
Yeah, I thought so.
I arrived literally 2 hours before kick-off with Alana. I'm here for 10 days. I will be doing the watch-along for Galatasaray in that very studio.
Nice.
It's good to be home. It was my wife's got to come here for work, and she was like, "Do you want to come and see the nephews and the niece?" I was like, let me think. And here I am. So it's good to be home. It's good to see everyone. Hopefully, I'll see a lot of people whilst I'm back. And like I said, guys, enjoy the show. Great stuff as always, and we'll speak soon.
Top man. Thanks a lot, Brian.
See you later.
See you on Thursday.